Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the Standing Room Only podcast, episode number 52. I'm Goose. As always, I am here with Healy. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Just remember, hit that download button for us. If you already hit the download, you can go ahead and actually undownload it and download it again if you'd like. The only reason why we say that is because we have no way of seeing a view count. The only analytics we see are the downloads. We are on YouTube. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts, the Standing Room Only podcast. We're on social media as well. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter, the SR Only Pod. You can follow our personal accounts. I'm iGoose with 4 O's. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Twitch as well. And then we also have Healy.
You follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Healy6, and then YouTube and Twitch Healy6. So we're going to get right into it. Start off with some baseball. Scion winners got announced tonight. Shane Bieber, Trevor Bauer. Shane Bieber didn't even finish top 3 for MVP. He should have been up there for MVP this year. Don't know why he didn't, but he won unanimously. Trevor Bauer, he got 27 first place votes. Yu Darvish, I believe, had 3. And the NL was a bit of a toss-up. You could have pretty much picked anyone, but Trevor Bauer got it. He well deserved it. I thought he deserved it. And this is the first time since 2016. This has only happened a few times, but first time since 2016 that former teammates won the Cy Young in the same year, because he was with the Indians before.
Yep.
So shout out to those guys. Good years for both of them. Well deserved. The 60-game season made it pretty difficult, but we got the stretches of these guys throwing, like Trevor Bauer finished like with a 1.87 ERA. Unreal year. It was cool to see. Tomorrow's MVP voting. We'll briefly talk about it next week. Got DJ LeMahieu, Jose Abreu, and Jose Ramirez in the American League. And then for the National League, you have Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Manny Machado. I think DJ LeMahieu has a good chance to win it in the American League. I'm hoping it's Jose Ramirez. National League, it's looking like Freddie Freeman. But people want Mookie Betts. Maybe his defensive analytics, maybe his some other analytics you could look at, make him better. But I feel like Freddie Freeman, locked in at the plate, he'll take it home for the National League.
I can't help but agree with that. I feel like the AL should definitely be Jose Abreu, but that's me being biased right now as a Sox fan. Yeah, you said Jose Ramirez. He had an excellent year. Freddie Freeman for sure in the NL. I mean, the dude, he's been so consistent for the past few years now. Definitely not talked about as much as he should be, especially at a team that's been, I would say, rather, I don't want to say dominant, but they've been pretty damn good the last couple of years, and he's been leading that charge. Everybody looks to Ronald Acuna, Ozzy, some of the other talent that they have, but Freddie Freeman is definitely leading that charge, and he's been the most consistent player probably in all of big leagues. So I'm just gonna say shout out to him, because I feel like I don't know who else would really get it in the NL. So AL's full of, I mean, studs. Mookie Betts, I guess, in the NL because you add a World Series to his resume, but
the voting was done before playoffs.
Oh, okay. We did talk. You mentioned that. So yeah, I feel like it has to go to Freddie Freeman. 60-game season. He can do it in a 162-game season as well. So, but yeah, that's my pick, and we'll see what ends up happening with the AL. It's a toss-up at this point. So
there's some news with the Chicago White Sox this week. They signed Tony LaRussa, and then it came out that he got a DUI earlier in the year, and the way he reacted when he got arrested, wild. When he got arrested for a DUI, he told the officer, "Do you know who I am? Look at this ring. I'm I've won a World Series. I'm a Hall of Famer." The ego was all out there. The White Sox have already said that nothing's going to happen. Jerry Reinsdorf, this is his, I was talking to some friends today. I feel like this is his dream. He doesn't want to go out with his life with a regret, and this was one of his regrets. So no matter what happens, he's going to be seen as an angel.
Yeah, double murder, triple homicide. He's gonna end up coaching somehow for the White Sox. It's crazy. It's crazy. He got the DUI back in February in like Phoenix. Nobody knew about it until after he signs. It happens all the time with pro
Well, the
athletes.
White Sox knew.
Well, I was gonna say they had to have known, but like we as fans and people
Yeah.
didn't really know. We didn't even know Tony LaRussa was ever even really an option until maybe a week before he got signed. So it was kind of crazy to see, but again, you see DUIs happen with athletes all the time. We saw recently with football with Melvin Gordon, who ended up still playing. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of ignorant of him. He's like the poster child of what not to do when you get arrested or when you get pulled over, especially if you've been drinking. I don't condone drinking and driving. You shouldn't do it. But hey, if you end up drinking one and driving, be smart about it. Just hey, you wrecked your car off the side of the road. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. All I know is that he was a douche about it, and he should not have been. So he's definitely donkey of the week, probably of the month. A little late, but yeah. So Tony La Russa leaving a bad taste in the mouth, but we'll look the other way as long as he can bring a championship to the South Side.
Some good news, though, is the New York Mets. We talked about Steve Cohen last week and how he has all this money and all this good that he's doing with the team. Marcus Stroman signed the qualifying offer today, $18.7 million, 18.9, whatever it is, almost $19 million for 1 year to stay with the Mets. It looked like he was going to go, but due to the new ownership, he is back. And Steve Cohen had his press conference, and something cool that he said was, "I'm not looking to make money. I have a day job for that." You know how much of a baller you have to be like, this is my hobby. Why am I focusing on making money here? I want to win championships. I want to win every single chance possible. He's going to go all in on the analytics. He's going to go all in on signing like GMs and executives and all that. And yeah, what a flex. I don't care about earning money. The day job.
He's literally got so much money, and this is everybody plays that manager mode or that franchise mode in MLB The Show and 2K and Madden. He's living it right now, and he basically just like that was a hyper flex. That was an ultra flex right there.
He turned off the salary cap in the settings.
He straight up did, and he said, "Guess what? We're gonna start by." Marcus Stroman he's young. He's a young, talented player. So I think that was kind of a big part, and he's got the right attitude. If I'm a Mets fan right now, I have everything to be excited about, hands down.
Yeah, they're in the conversation for George Springer right now. Lindor trade talks. JT Realmuto seems like a lock that could go there. Trevor Bauer is going to be in the talks to go there. Every free agent is a possibility for the Mets. And not just one. They'll sign multiple.
Yep.
And also Steve Cohen said they're looking to build the farm system and use those guys for good. They aren't going to look and get these guys and try to trade them away. So unless they are needed as like a chip piece to get a guy to make them better. So yeah, Steve Cohen's going all in. Loved his press conference. People are hyped. I just need next season to start and to see these free agents sign.
That's simple as that. He's there to win, and he's letting not only the fans know, and as you just mentioned, he's letting the free agents know, like, come to me. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna win. We're gonna ball out. So, like I said, a lot to be excited about if you're a Mets fan. It's not just all about the Yankees anymore.
Due to the baseball season being over, though, not a lot of news besides the awards this week. Big basketball news, though. Just pretty much broke before we started the podcast tonight. Russell Westbrook wants out of Houston. How many years was he there? Like one? It was one because Chris Paul went to the Thunder.
That was the trade. That was it. It was the
So
Chris Paul for Russ, and Oklahoma City Thunder is in deep talks with the Suns as of right now. I'm sure there's other teams. So Chris Paul's is on the block. He's gonna be going. Russell Westbrook, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. And to be honest, if I'm Houston, and I know we were just talking about it, there is no better time to start your rebuild than now. You have two guys, two super talented players that unfortunately are not going to be part of a genetic makeup for a championship. Houston's not going to win. They're not going to win for a while, especially in the West, especially while LeBron does not age, especially if AD continues to play with LeBron. So the way I looked at it was, man, if Russ wants out, that's your best case scenario. Maybe you keep Harden for now. Maybe you trade Russ. Maybe you trade, and I don't like the rumors right now because obviously, I sent it to you earlier, but apparently it's like Charlotte and Chicago are rumored teams to take a shot at Russ. As a Bulls fan, I think that's a horrible idea. There's so much young talent, and I know he's a veteran player. He's got pretty much a Hall of Fame resume, and he's young-ish, I guess. He's not old. I don't want to say he's old. But with the talent that Chicago has, with the Kobe White, I just don't know. They're going to have to trade too much, and I'd be scared that they end up shutting, Kobe White down to the bench or changing his role, and it would just be overall bad. For Houston, I think for them, you're looking up. This is best case scenario. You trade, there's so much you can get, whether if it's guys who, maybe you move up in the draft. And this is what I'm worried about is the Bulls give up Zach LaVine and their fourth pick and maybe a future prospect or draft pick or something like that. And so then the Bulls end up with this guy who has not won and who does so he basically said he wants to facilitate again. James Harden handled the rock too much. Russ admitted he wants to go back to his Thunder days when KD was gone, or even when KD was there, because he can drive up the court. He can turn a simple play into an automatic fast break with his speed. And you know what? I appreciate it as a fan because he's super explosive. He's the closest thing to as explosive as Derrick Rose that we've ever gotten to, if not more explosive at times. Great player, won't fit in with the Bulls, but I think overall it's going to work out in Houston's favor tremendously. Tremendously.
Yeah, we've seen Westbrook. He can't do it by himself, which is unfortunate, but at the same time with his play style, it really clashes with having another superstar. Because the offense needs to run through him, but when you play with another superstar, they also need the ball a lot, which is what we saw with James Harden. That was one of my concerns when Russell Westbrook went there, was how the usage percentage of James Harden. He had the highest usage percentage in like NBA history when he won the MVP, I believe. Even with like Chris Paul there, he was holding onto the ball. He works by getting the ball, isolating, doing pick and rolls, and driving to the basket. He's not the guy that will make his own space, get a pass thrown to him, and then shoot it. He needs the ball in his hands before that. You're right about the Bulls. I do not want to see him anywhere near the Bulls. That would include giving up their first round pick for this year. Don't want to do that. I know Russell Westbrook is a guaranteed bucket, and you can't really guarantee the pick that the Bulls would have, but he doesn't fit. I don't want to see him on the Bulls. This is their prime. This is their window starting up. Don't ruin it.
Unless this is our way of getting rid of Otto Porter immediately and we can keep the draft pick, I would consider. But here's a problem. Russ is 31. He's on contract he's a free agent in 2023.
Yeah.
The 2022 season, when he's going to have a player option, right? That contract, that salary for that year is $47 million at the age of 33. If for some reason we have anybody in Bulls management listening to this podcast, and I'm willing to bet $1 million there's not. But if there is, please take it from somebody with no experience in front office and just understand that $47 million and $43 million the year before that is not good for business when you have young, super talented potential. Don't do it. Keep the draft pick. In other news, they're trying to trade up apparently from different sources that I've read online on Twitter. There are rumors that they are going to try to trade up to number 2, which guarantees them an option at LaMelo Ball. I feel like it's 50-50. People hate the idea of LaMelo Ball. People love the idea of LaMelo Ball being basically another Ben Simmons. You basically have a point forward. I'm okay with that. If
Yeah.
they jag on the draft and they get LaMelo Ball, I will be okay with that compared to trading for Russell Westbrook. I'll be okay.
Same here. I wanted to bring up a tweet, which I had waiting earlier, but you had the same idea. So this guy's 6 Rings of Steel uploads some YouTube basketball stuff. He tweeted an hour ago, Russell Westbrook is 32 tomorrow, making 40 plus million the next 3 years. Can't shoot, seems to be injured every year.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just not a good move. But moving up to number 2, it's looking like LaMelo's gonna be the number 1 overall pick. I would only say they move up to 2 if they guarantee that LaMelo pick, which they wouldn't make they aren't going to make the trade unless the first round pick or the number 1 pick happens and it isn't LaMelo. Then they'll go in. I don't think they're going to make the move now, but LaMelo somehow does fall to 2. Maybe who is the number 2 pick? The Warriors. So he'd be moving up. I don't see that as an Otto Porter dump off point. I feel like the Warriors are making too much money. Maybe they get rid of Wendell Carter. I've heard that Wendell Carter's been in trade talks, and they do need like a big man. They could fall back a couple of positions, take another big man, and or take a guard of some sort at the number 4 pick.
If they get Carter, why not? I love Carter. Wendell Carter's fun to watch. Personally, I'm more sold on Daniel Gafford at the center position for us. I'm not saying he's going to start next year. We don't know what's going to happen. But if the Bulls are willing on trading up to 2 and Wendell Carter is packaged and the 4th pick, Warriors have a good return on investment in that trade. You're getting Wendell Carter, who I know he's not the biggest center in the league, but that dude gets up there. It's a block party when he plays. So you get him and you get a 4th pick. They can go after Denny or whoever it is. The Bulls will get, I guess, LaMelo. It would have to be LaMelo. It's going to have to be a draft day trade. We won't know until we know who the number 1 pick is. A lot of times there are teams who are sold and it comes out early before the draft who they're going to draft. Like the Bulls were going to draft Derrick Rose back in the day. Every number 1 you kind of know. This year you don't really know because of LaMelo Ball being the type of player that he is, being a stretch point forward, whatever you want to call him. He can go number 1. James Wiseman is great. Edwards, I don't think is gonna go number 1, but I mean, there's all these guys up there, and it's a toss up. So I don't think we're gonna know. And we'll be running our podcast next Wednesday night, the same night of the draft. So we'll have the results. In. We'll give our mindset on that, but when it comes, I feel like there's going to be quite a few trades going down relatively soon in the next 6 to 7 days.
Yeah, I don't know the exact date, but there is a date coming up soon. It might be tomorrow in which trades can finally happen. I know the offseason schedule's a little bit weird, but I think it's tomorrow in which trades can finally happen. Wendell Carter, he's 21 years of age. Kind of crazy to think he's that young. He got drafted a couple years ago. If they were to trade him, the team that he would go to, they would have 2 years with him. And also he has like a qualifying offer in which they could make that a 3rd year. So Could be big for whatever team decides to get him. That would make Daniel Gafford be the center. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then they could sign like a backup center. If they keep Wendell Carter, that's fine as well. But if they move up to get LaMelo, I did see a report that the Timberwolves, they were thinking about taking LaMelo. They have talked to him. They had him shoot around. His shooting has gotten better. But who knows? In a shoot around, I've seen Ben Simmons make like 15 threes in a row. But in an NBA game, it doesn't matter. He can't hit anything out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Ben Simmons gets super nervous. I think that's the thing with LaMelo, though. I think that it could be his kryptonite is he's not afraid to shoot, but he might be coming into it like Steph Curry. Steph Curry, when he got drafted, the analysts and the experts were like, well, his biggest flaw is he's gonna have to know when to control his threes, when he shouldn't shoot. And obviously, we saw what happened there. I think he's 3-time champion, but I don't know. I'm excited. I've wasn't that excited going into the offseason. I wasn't really too sold on the draft, but the more that I read into it, the more that we talk about it and all the trades involved, I am super excited. I don't know if this data is legit from what I'm seeing, and again, this is just Google. It's saying that NBA trades would be the 18th, but that doesn't make sense because that would be
No,
the actual
it'd be the
draft.
15th or 16th.
So
I can't remember exact, or it doesn't say here, but 15th or 16th is when the trade deadline or the whatever. You could trade this Sunday or Monday. They need to open it up before the draft.
it has to happen, yeah.
Also, next Wednesday's the draft. And here's a little note that we probably didn't know. Houston doesn't currently have a selection in either of the 2 rounds.
Oh.
So Russell Westbrook could be moved next week. He could be moved very quickly to try and get a top pick or to try to get some sort of draft pick. So whatever team gets him, I feel like they're going to give up at least a first round this year. They're probably going to get a first round in another year. And then they'll probably get a couple players. I know Russell, his huge contract, his play style and fit. He's not like Paul George, in which the Clippers gave up like 7 first round picks for what it seemed, but they're going to be looking for picks.
Houston. So the rumor that I read was Charlotte and Chicago. Charlotte is picking before Chicago. So they might end up trading for Charlotte's 3rd pick. And I think Charlotte, if you pair him with Devontae Graham, actually might make sense more so than the Bulls trading. But that's just, I don't know. I don't want to, I mean, maybe I'm just being biased against the trade for Chicago, but I feel like Devontae Graham, who is an incredible guard, one of my favorite to watch, and he's only 1 year in the league, him and Russ together would make more sense to me. And I mean, Houston would get that 3rd overall pick. They can start a true rebuild. Maybe they keep Harden. Maybe they try to see what this class does for Harden. Because obviously they have a lot of issues. It's not just Russ. They have height problems. They have guys who can't follow the rules, who bring chicks into a quarantined, Disneyland, Disney World, whatever. So we'll end up seeing what happens there. So I'm excited. And Charlotte, they have 2nd pick in the 2nd round. Maybe they bundle 2 picks and a player. Who knows?
Yeah, and 2 days after the draft, so next Friday, free agent's going to start. So this offseason's coming up quick. I saw another stat in which a majority of the teams that weren't in the bubble, they had a 273-day offseason.
Yeah.
Or like 270 plus days. For the teams that were in the playoffs, or the Heat and Lakers more specifically, they have a 70-day offseason. So teams are going to be well rested. I would not be surprised if the Lakers and the Heat, they have like Jimmy Butler and like LeBron sit out for like the first couple weeks, or they play like a game and then they sit out like the next one or two.
Keep them off the back-to-back games for sure. The back-to-back games, the travel games, probably not going to happen, especially since they're a deep enough team to win without LeBron and or AD at the same time. So maybe they alternate games. I wouldn't be surprised. LeBron, I think, even openly admitted, like, yeah, I'm not going to play all my minutes or all my games right away to start. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
No. Next thing we know, though, that the season's going to be starting up again. It's the shortest offseason, I believe, in sports history. The other three, like out of the 4 that ESPN showed, the other 3 were hockey offseason.
Oh, wow.
None of them involved baseball or whatever. So, give me an interesting season. I'm excited to see people change teams. James Harden as well. We didn't really talk about him. I've heard that he's committed to the Rockets, but at the same time, he does have like teams that he would like to be traded to if they want to get rid of him.
I mean, like I said, Houston right now, I think this is their best opportunity to start a rebuild. What you trade both or you trade one for sure, and it's going to clear up cap space and they can get a draft pick. And I mean, at this point, yeah, you probably won't get Giannis, but you got to make it appealing for Giannis, because if you can do that, then you might make it appealing for everybody else that's going to be a free agent. I mean, this is going to be LeBron 2009, 2010, with the whole Miami Heat, the South Beach announcement. I mean, Giannis is the biggest player to hit free agency since LeBron during that time period. Somebody of that caliber.
Durant, but that we all know what happened with that.
I don't want to talk about that.
We're forgetting about that moment in history. The 76ers are interested in Harden because Daryl Morey is the GM of the Sixers.
But Harden just opened up saying he didn't like the culture of Houston. So it makes you wonder, like, what does he think about Morey? Because he was the GM. There was a losing culture there. So there's so much that could be said about him, Harden drawing interest to Philly, but then Harden is like, well, we have a losing culture here. And he didn't say it directly, but I mean, Morey was the GM over in Houston.
Yeah,
so
and he ruined it.
And he ruined it single-handedly. Now, Philadelphia, Elton Brand, whatever, that whole franchise took a dump. I mean, took a huge dump, and I don't know. They should have competed the last few years for the title, and they did a little bit, but that's another rumor is, hey, Embiid and Simmons are likely to break up as well, and that could be as soon as this off season. So we don't know.
What one out of those two would be moving, though? Are you going to pair up Ben Simmons with James Harden, or are you going to pair him up with Embiid? I feel like Embiid would be the better option because you'd get that pick and roll offense. And also, when we saw James Harden win MVP, he was almost averaging a triple-double for the season, if I remember correctly.
Damn near, yeah.
All through him. It wouldn't work with Simmons because we know Simmons isn't a shooter. He's a driver. And they would get rid of their big man. It'd be like Houston again. I feel like if they were to get James Harden, it would be Ben Simmons moving.
Yeah. I don't see. They have Horford. I don't know what they're going to do. Houston needs a big guy. I think they realize after this year that the little guys, and I don't want to say little because they have big guards. Like Russ is like 6'3", 6'4". Harden is 6'6", 6'7". They have big guards, but then your power forward and centers are only 6'8". Mm-hmm. So to me, I would like to see Joel Embiid packaged over to Houston. Maybe Russ joins Ben Simmons and they just run a super fast in your mama's face, like just drilling. I mean, Russ is strong and fast, and Ben Simmons is strong and fast. So maybe they run this fast break type offense because they have shooters. Philadelphia has some guys who just their jumpers are wet all day. I mean, obviously leading to the playoffs, it wasn't so great, but I mean, they have a lot of talented players around those guys. I just don't know how else they would break these two up. It's they still have Horford. They can keep Horford. He's still proven at his age to play pretty okay. I just feel like Joel Embiid's a bigger asset than Ben Simmons at the end of the day. So
we will see as the offseason goes on. I expect some major moves. The NBA, we know changes happen a lot, especially nowadays with the 4-year contracts and people just being like, you know what, I'm out. And then they get traded just like that. They get moved for a big package. Teams don't normally build from the ground up and keep guys. You're going to see guys play with multiple teams throughout their career, and many too, not just one or two. You're going to see them play with 4, maybe 5 teams by the end of their career. It's just how the culture is. So we will keep you guys updated with that next week after the draft. I am so excited. I wish we'd have to check our schedules, but it would be cool to like maybe pop this up on like a live stream and just go over the draft as it happens.
we can do a live stream, Twitch, whatever it is, and keep that and integrate it with the podcast somehow, or separate, like its own episode, draft special. You know what I mean? This one we'll have to talk about off the air. That would be awesome. That's a good idea though. Have a little draft party.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see how we are time wise with that, but if that does happen, keep an eye out on the social media, Esther Only Pod on Twitter and Instagram. We would be posting there.
Yep.
So keep an eye out on that.
In other news, not really other news, but I think that's it for the NBA. We can transition over to the NFL. The NFL, we are going into week number 10. We've had some ups and downs this past week. We had the Bears, who is now on a 3-game losing streak. They've are at the hardest part of their schedule, and I said this right before their game against the Rams was that first game against the LA Rams was their first of a long stretch of tough games, and we were going to see what type of Chicago Bears team that's true to their identity. And they're on a 3-game losing streak since then. They just lost to Tennessee in one of the most boring games I've ever watched. I couldn't believe I actually sat through almost the whole game. They did almost come back at the end, but still not enough for Tennessee, who Tennessee themselves didn't really play that great of a game. A.J. Brown did. A.J. Brown is a stud. He's one of my favorite receivers in the game. He started off hurt to start the season, comes in like week 4, something like that, and he's been a top dog for Ryan Tannehill. Compliments Tannehill and that awesome running game with Derrick Henry. The Bears defense, this is the telltale. They are the monsters of the Midway. Their defense has been, and always will be. It's their genetics, right? It's like Green Bay always has a good quarterback somehow. I'm sitting here as a Packers fan, and I'm thinking, man, how is it possible for a team to have such a good defense, to have Nick Foles as your quarterback, who is he's been proven to be bad at times, but he's also won a Super Bowl. We've seen him manage games. He's had some comebacks. We've seen him throw some good passes this year. Montgomery's had some ups and downs, more downs than ups. And the only thing that it keeps coming back to is Coach Matt Nagy. I don't understand how nobody else, I mean, anybody else that's a part of the coaching staff that's like, hey, you think maybe that we should try something else with our offense? And I know, I get it. Their offensive line is shit. It's horrible. It's one of the worst in the league. Like they get like a 3-step drop back and there's somebody in their face already. There's always somebody in their face. And they've had some tough opponents recently. I mean, Tennessee's defense hasn't been the best compared to last year, but they're still a good defense. The Rams, Aaron Donald. I mean, I feel like even Green Bay is going to give them a tough time. But aside from that, as a head coach in the NFL, there's got to be something else you can try to put points on the board. The defense is on the field the whole game, performing every drive. There's drives that they give up, and I wouldn't even doubt it. It's because they're just tired. They're tired. They're on the field the whole game. But when it comes to to football and the game of chess that's played on the field, battle of field position, and they're constantly forcing 3 and outs, or they're, getting turnovers, whatever it is, you can't even move the football on the offense, and you're calling the offensive plays, uh, you gotta go bye-bye. I don't know. I mean, I feel like everybody should agree with me. And I feel like the Bears with this isn't even a mediocre offense. This is like straight trash. Like, I'm going to feed you the grease off of my bacon sheet. Like, this is like horrible offense. The Bears, realistically, I know we talked about it. We're an 8-8 team-ish. That's where they're headed right now. With better play calling, better time management, I would say better play calling on the offensive side, they can easily be a 10-6 team.
I hope at the end of the year, I think Matt Nagy is going to play call the remainder of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of hope he's gone after this. As much as I would hate for the Bears to find another head coach, they've had so many in the past 5 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the right option. Or you got to sign an offensive coordinator or get this guy some new plays, because it's hasn't proven anything. I saw a funny photo where Mitch is hurt right now, so I don't think he's an option to start. But I saw a funny photo of like Mitch was 3-0 to start the year, and Nick Foles is 2-3, and it's like, do you know what teams we played the first 3 weeks of the season? It was garbage teams, and they barely came back.
Garbage teams that lost the games themselves. The Bears didn't win those games. Come on.
No.
Atlanta gave up. Atlanta's does what what they do best. I mean, they ended up firing their coach after Dan Quinn, they lost. They gave up 2 or 3 games where they were leading. Cowboys game, the Bears game. I think Detroit, they lost after something crazy. So that's a trash team to start the season. Are they a trash team overall? No. Atlanta, you never know what team's going to show up. But you take that game, you take the Giants game where Saquon gets hurt early. Giants were leading going in the fourth quarter, couldn't do anything in the fourth. They were passing the ball when they were up, should not have happened, allowed the Bears to come back. But here's the catch. Also, like you just said, these teams are garbage and the Bears are barely pulling it off. See, fans look at and what they hear from the media, it's like what gets fed. Oh, they're 5-1, they're 3-0, 4, whatever it may be. That's not the story. You know damn well that's not the story. It's like a fighter going out and cherry picking all of his fights and deciding, you know what, I'm going to sign the $100 million contract and I'm going to go fight some big name guy, and then I get destroyed because I cherry picked the whole time. It's the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
I said it 3 weeks ago. This is the test for the Bears, and they're failing. They're failing miserably.
And 3 weeks ago, I mentioned all they had to do is go 5-5, and they finished with a 10-6 record. They're 5-4 right now. They need to go. So they played 9 games. They have 7 left. They need to at least try and go 4-3 if possible.
Here's the thing. They're playing Minnesota this week. I think it's Sunday night or Monday night. It's a primetime game. Monday night game.
In Chicago. Doesn't necessarily matter, but...
Didn't they just play a Monday night game like 3 weeks ago against
the Rams?
The Rams?
Yes.
How do the Bears get away with 2 Monday night games so close together?
Well, they are a big market team, and they're expected to do pretty decent this year. And also the Vikings weren't expected to be 3-5. They're supposed to be pretty big as well. Monday Night Football has had some pretty bad picks, but at least this is a step in the right direction compared to the previous couple weeks.
Last game was actually entertaining, believe it or not. Patriots was a little entertaining. More than I thought it would have been.
They're both trying to lose the game.
Yeah. So obviously the Patriots came back and won, but so you have the Bears up against a Minnesota team that's I don't want to say they're hot, but Dalvin Cook is a monster. Everybody, I've always talked well on Dalvin Cook. The only thing I've never talked well on is his injury history. It's not been great. Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, they have Justin Jefferson. The X factor's Kirk Cousins. You don't know what type of game he's going to have, but this game's huge. This game right here with the extra playoff spot intact for the NFL, NFC and AFC each can end up leading because Detroit is right there too as a wild card team. Green Bay is probably going to walk away with the division. I don't want to say walk away because the Bears can probably play them well. We don't know. But Minnesota is hot right now. Dalvin Cook cannot be stopped. The Bears defense, I have a feeling, will play them very well. I still think Dalvin Cook is going to get the yardage. He's going to get the grabs. Thielen is going to probably get shut down. The Bears, I feel like, will give up a big play at some point in this game because their defense is going to be stuck on the field. But here's the thing. Vikings defense is horrible. Horrible defense. I could score on them. And I'm an average height I'm an average height man in this league, and I promise you I can almost put up 100 yards on this defense. If Nick Foles cannot move the football against this defense, then it's a wrap. The whole rest of the season, I don't see them winning another game. Maybe against Detroit, maybe the second game against Minnesota. But this right here, if you guys want me to give you a player for fantasy to play and a guaranteed 18 to 20 points, and if he doesn't do it, then this team is that bad. Play Nick Foles. Nick Foles is going to be passing. You're going to see Allen Robinson probably snag like 6 or 7 grabs for 80 yards. May or may not score. You're going to get Jimmy Graham in the mix and David Montgomery. Those 3 right there, on top of the Miller, who's probably going to have a couple long ball toss to him. Darnell Mooney, maybe. I don't know. I know more about the Bears than I should as a Packers fan, but that's just my love of the game, right? So it's going to be this game is going to say a lot for both teams. Both teams.
Packers have an easy game this week against the Jaguars. Should be an easy game. Last week, there was a lot of good games scheduled. This week, it's kind of lopsided. We saw Tampa Bay and the Saints go up against each other. The Saints ended up winning by a lot. It was one of Tom Brady's biggest defeats ever. And also, it's the first time he's ever gotten swept in the division.
Oh.
Yeah, first time ever, which kind of says a lot for how good the Patriots were, but it also says a lot about how the AFC East is a garbage division.
Yeah. They're better now. Now they're good. But that doesn't say anything now that Brady's gone. Saints are good. I know the Saints defense has been a laughing stock for a little bit. Green Bay tore them up a couple weeks back. Tom Brady, 3 interceptions. The first time he's thrown 3 interceptions since week 3 of 2011. All right. So this dude's almost gone 10 years since he's thrown 3 interceptions in a game. They scored 3 points. And this is a Buccaneers who Antonio Brown played his first game back in over almost a whole season.
Mm-hmm.
So the Saints are good. The Saints are great. It's going to be a battle for this division. Saints are 6-2. Bucs are 6-3. Bucs haven't had their bye week yet. I was surprised. I was very surprised to see not just the blowout, but how great the Saints played against the Bucs, because the Bucs had been hot. I know week 1 against the Saints, Brady's first game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We didn't know how everybody's got to mesh together. And now we see how they are against the Saints. Saints play them well. A huge victory. Huge. And not just huge because of the division, but that's a huge moral victory. You're going up against a very, very tough Buccaneers team defensively and obviously offensively. So big shout out to the Saints there.
Yeah, it's something I saw. Drew Brees, he's one of the worst quarterbacks. He's a good quarterback, but he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league for average air distance and like average something else. Like it's pretty much a short yardage situation. So all he does now is dump it off. And I saw that the Buccaneers barely put any pressure on him. That should have been their game plan, to just rush the quarterback. If you blitz a bunch of guys, you aren't going to have Drew Brees bombing you over the top.
Nope.
He's just going to dink and dunk you, but you could get the pressure in and prevent some of those plays. So maybe if they face each other in the playoffs, they get more pressure on Brees, but that's one of the keys to defeating the Saints. They don't go deep. Drew Brees doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, too many big plays given up by Tampa's defense. I know there was like 2 wide open touchdowns tossed. I think one was a Traquan Smith, all alone in the back of the end zone. It's easy tap, toe tap touchdown. You know what? It's gonna be tough. You can't look at this one game as though the Bucs are just a horrible team now because they got blown out. Anybody can get blown out and come back next week and go on a run.
Yep.
So we'll see what ends up happening. The Packers obviously won. They beat the 49ers, a very hurt 49ers team. Some other notable games.
Good Thursday night game tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
Tennessee.
Yeah. Colts and Tennessee, divisional battle. It's going to be huge considering I have the Colts winning the division. Tennessee's coming. I mean, they're still riding high off last season. Great playoff run. Obviously, unfortunately, got cut short. The Chiefs ended up going to the Super Bowl, but yeah, that's going to be a great game. Some other notable games for this week. Obviously, we did talk about the Bears and the Packers. Divisional battle for 2 horrible teams, Eagles and Giants. Yep. Philadelphia. The Eagles have won 8 straight games against the Giants. Fun fact. We'll see what happens there. Giants are 2-7, are technically in second place for their division. Some other notable games that should be fun to watch.
And Dolphins.
Chargers and Dolphins have been hot. Chargers are 2-6. Lost all the games they lost were within like 7 points, 8 points.
Get Herbert versus Tua this week. That's the game to watch.
That'll be a fun game to watch. I have a feeling it's going to be a higher scoring game than what the spread is. Ravens, Patriots. Ravens should be able to take care of the Patriots. 2 games, other games that I'm looking at. Seahawks and Rams. Seahawks 6-2 going into LA. Rams are 5-3. Divisional battle right there. Both very high scoring teams. Both defenses are pretty weak. Rams a little bit better on defense than the Seahawks. Seahawks just lost last week to the Bills. Speaking of the Bills Mafia, they're facing the Cardinals, the other team in that division.
Yep.
Very tough team. 5-3 Cardinals, 7-2 Bills in Arizona. I'm excited for that game. I'm expecting a shootout, just like the Bills and Seahawks were last week. Cardinals and Seahawks were a shootout the week before. Very, very important, notable games to watch. With that being said, I will have a FanDuel. I have a FanDuel lineup in. I don't show it. I have multiple lineups in. I will put one out again Sunday, probably around 10 a.m. Central Time, closer to 11. I'll give you guys an hour window to read into my lineups, to read into my madness. I've been winning. I haven't won the $1 million yet, but I've been scoring consistently 150 points to about 178. That's been my highest, okay? I'm telling you when I say this, listen to what I have to say. Look at some of the key players I play. Pay attention to the injuries. I can tell you one injury right now, Christian McCaffrey, doubtful to play, hurt his shoulder in his first game back. Mike Davis, super cheap. Super, super cheap. Play him. Jacksonville, Green Bay. Jacksonville gives up yards. It might be worth playing Rodgers, might be worth playing Devontae Adams, might be worth playing uh Aaron Jones. I'm sorry. I paused there. So just be on the lookout for my lineup on Sunday morning. Um, you'll have a good lineup for you. I'll have a good lineup for you.
Pretty sure that is it for, well, the Bengals. They got Dak McKinley. Bengals got him. Doesn't seem like any other. Maybe Nick Chubb's probably not going to start this week or play, but
they'll know Friday for sure if he's going to play. It's not looking likely because, well, Kareem Hunt is still Kareem Hunt. Great running back. I wouldn't force a running back like Nick Chubb back too soon. If it means one extra week, so be it. They are in the hunt for the playoffs. No pun intended. So we'll see what ends up happening there.
11 hours ago, CBS Sports said the Browns are going to be very happy to have Nick Chubb back. So it does appear that he is coming back.
Yeah, he's coming back for sure. He's super limited in practice, and I think that's just them being cautious. And then, they said for sure Friday we'll know, probably Friday late afternoon, we'll know more on his status, if he's going to actually play or not. I would say he does play, and they go with the 1-2 punch. Maybe he only gets 50% reps, 60% reps of what he normally does, which 50% or 60% of what Chubb normally does is better than what most backs do. So I think they're definitely going to need him for this week. So
that's going to do it, though, for this week's episode of the Standing Room Only podcast. Make sure to follow our Twitter and Instagram at SROnlyPod. You can follow our personal pages. Mine is The Healy6 on Twitter and Instagram. On YouTube and Twitch, you can follow me at Healy6.
Yes, I'm iGoose, 4 O's, on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Don't have any videos up yet. That'll be coming very soon.
We'll see you guys next week with all the draft coverage. We're going to be excited and hope you are as well.